everybody, it's Julie from A Beautiful Horizon, and today we're going to be talking about Curriculum 2019-2020. So my kids are 10, 5, and almost 4, and so we have, we're going into grades 5, 1, and preschool. I'm not going to be talking really about preschool stuff this video. I might share that in a separate video if you're interested. The things that I do with my preschoolers, I might already have a video like that. I kind of do the same things with each of them, so if I already have that video, I think I can link it. If I don't, let me know in the comments if you want to see it, and I will make a video. I keep school pretty simple because I believe that all of life is learning. We're learning every day, and I really like to do a lot of child-led learning, and so that's a big focus of our day. But I also like to have kind of like train tracks to run on, something that's set in stone that we're gonna do, and I can track and I can share with our evaluator, and keep it all just kind of easy for me to make sure that I'm doing a good general covering of everything. It just kind of simplifies things. I like some parts of the idea of unschooling, but personally I don't want to have to do all the work to prove that they did school that day and everything like that, to, you know, especially if there's like a state questioning issue or whatever. I want to make sure that we have some stuff to show if we ever needed to. So that's why I really like having a curriculum, but I also like to keep that simple and do a lot of child-led learning as well. So I decided this year to do our record keeping a little bit differently. In the past I had used calendar pages and that has worked fine, but this current year I just wasn't really a fan of using calendar pages when you have 2 students. I'd rather have it all in one place. So this year I'm going to use composition notebooks for my kids. So I got my daughter and my son, and I'm just going to write the date and the lessons that they did, but I can also write extra things, like if we went to a park and we saw some bugs, or we looked them up later, and all that other kind of things, all the other kind of things that you do, it's not easy to like write it in a small little tiny box and on a calendar page. I want to have more room to write those sorts of things, and just like things that we learned, that are extra, that I want to remember, and have it be almost kind of like a journal entry style type of thing, but also, be writing down our curriculum that we did that day. This tool is one of my favorites, and so I thought I would just share this with you guys. I actually have a video of like all my favorite homeschool things, tools, that sort of thing. I can link that in the cards for you guys to watch after you watch this video if you're interested. I'll link it in the description too. But this is one of my favorites. I use this 3-hole punch at the beginning of every year because I do a lot of PDF curriculum, so I buy the PDF once and then I can use it for each of my kids, and it saves me a good amount of money as long as you have a good printer that prints economically. If you don't have a printer, just buy the actual book and have it shipped to you, because you're gonna pay a lot to get it printed at a store. It's not gonna be worth it. So if you don't have an efficient printer, I don't suggest doing PDFs. But if you have an efficient printer, doing PDFs, you pay for it once, and then you're good to go for the coming years. There's also, on one of the curriculum sites that I purchased from, if you review the curriculum, you can get $1 credit for every review, and that's on masterbooks.com. So if you want to check out their website, I have a link in the description box. It's a referral link, so if you use my link, I get a little bit of credit, which is awesome. I really appreciate that. I have never worked with any homeschool curriculum directly, but if I can use a referral link, I'm really excited about that. And I've been using their curriculum this past year for math for my son and my daughter. And so what I decided to do, my son was using their level 4. He was in grade 4, and we just decided to go with level 4. Some people do higher levels or lower levels. Doesn't necessarily have to match up with their grade. You go off of what they're capable of and what works well for your family, which I appreciate. But we did go on level. Basically with my daughter, we did the first half of grade 1 or level 1 math for Masterbooks Math. It's called Math Lessons for Living Education, And I decided to do that because they don't have a kindergarten math yet, and I had heard other moms saying that they just did level 1, but they did it the first half in kindergarten and then the second half in first grade, and they just, you know, took it slowly, and I really thought that was a great idea, and so that's what we did this year. So we are, let me go ahead and show you, we are going to be doing the second half this year, and so they have a little bit of reading here. Some people don't like that there's reading in math, but I don't mind it, and I think it's fun for the kids, a good way to settle in. So we're going to start counting by tens this coming year, so that's fun. They have you make little flashcards sometimes for your addition facts. And so every lesson there are 5 days lined out, which I really like. I think it's easy to stay on track that way. I prefer that, just having it kind of written out nice and easy for you. Anyway, I think it's really cute and simple, and I think it kind of combines some different things that I've seen in different curriculum that I like. And yeah, we've enjoyed it. They have a whole, so there's a little bit of writing in here too, so they can practice their handwriting. So that's fun. There is a lot of copy work in the different language lessons or math lessons. For living education, they do a lot of copy work and stuff, and I feel like it's easy for me to tell the child what to do and then be able to walk away, you know, if I need to, and get things done and come back and make sure, you know, that they're doing it right, as long as they are forming their letters correctly and forming their numbers correctly and everything like that. Usually they can, as long as I know they're doing that correctly and they don't have any questions, they're able to do a lot of it a little more student-led. It's not totally teacher-led, although obviously I'm always going to be right there, but I can fold clothes while they do their math. So that's what my daughter is doing for math this year. And then for phonics, we are going through the Sing, Spell, Read, and Write phonics books, and I just go through them and we just read them and we just practice. And that's how I taught my son how to read. Also, alpha phonics, we kind of go back and forth between alpha phonics and the Sing, Spell, Read, and Write readers, the storybooks. And there are 17 of them, and I had some of them when I started with him. My mom had the first 7 or 10 of them, and so that's what we went through, and then I realized that there were more. There was a total of 17, so I purchased the rest of them. So that is what we're going through with her right now. And then we are doing handwriting as well. So I did the same thing with handwriting. I did the Good and the Beautiful handwriting for level 1, and I did the same thing where I just did the half this year, and then I'm going to be doing half next year. And you can see there's a little coloring part at the bottom of every page, and I'm also doing this for my son. He's learning cursive. I haven't printed out his lesson or level 5 yet, but he's currently still going through level 4. I'm not really worried about the specific grade level for handwriting. It's more just practice if we don't get much handwriting done that day. Sometimes with the language lessons or the math lessons, they have copy work, as I said. So if we don't have copy work with him, then we're learning the cursive with the Good and the Beautiful. So this is what my daughter is doing for next year for just supplemental, you know, getting her used to writing all her letters, and yeah, I'm excited. She really loves the coloring pages. And then we're gonna start our language arts in 2nd grade. I will start her with language arts for living education. We were doing the Good and the Beautiful, and I just decided that I prefer the format of language lessons for living education better. I like the way they divide their lessons into 5 days rather than some are short and some are long. And just several things that I just like kind of the style. It's more Charlotte Mason, less classical kind of. I think people could argue different points about why they like it, or, you know, why they prefer it. I'm not here to convince anyone that one or the other is necessarily better. I know there's a lot of talk out there about language lessons for living education versus the Good and the Beautiful. I've decided I just like the style of language lessons better. It works better for my family. especially for my son. It's easier for him to complete, and it's a little less involved for me. And like I said, everybody's gonna have to figure out what works for them, but I really do like how much it incorporates specific aspects of our faith, and it is very much faith-based. So if you're not into faith-based or just generally faith-based, you're not going to like the Master Books curriculum. It is all very faith-based, particularly Christian. I guess they would call themselves non-denominational Christian. I would think that's what they would call themselves. And so that's what we're going with. But I also like some of the different things that The Good and the Beautiful has to offer, such as the musical multiplication. We have been using that. I made a video showing some of the supplemental things that I purchased. I'm still using a little bit of the Good and the Beautiful items here and there. I purchased their typing course, which I'm going to be having my son go through once he's got a grip on cursive. So I'm not really basing that on a specific grade level. I'm just going to be working with him on cursive until he's pretty confident on cursive. And then once he's pretty confident with cursive, we'll go on to the typing course, which is a 3-part typing course, which I purchased from The Good and the Beautiful, as well as the multiplication, musical multiplication, which has been great for us. And I'm really just looking for the best that I can find that works for my family. And whichever company that is, that's who I'm going for. And I like having the freedom to just pick and choose and change my mind and all that kind of stuff. So that's my kind of philosophy for that. Okay, so I thought I would just show you some of the pages for the handwriting. This is level 4, The Good and the Beautiful. So it still has some print, which is nice, just to give him practice for making it look really nice. And when they're doing their handwriting, this is when I'm really paying attention to how they're forming the letters and watching them. Some of the other work that they're doing, I'm able to, like I said, be doing the dishes or the laundry, keeping an eye on them, but I'm not necessarily right there. When they're forming their letters and I really want to make sure that they're doing correctly, this is when I have an eagle eye on what they're doing. And so here it has the print, but then it also has the cursive here. So they've been teaching them letters, and now they're teaching them, you can see there, like how to form the words together. And then same as the younger grades, they have nice big coloring pages, and it's kind of cool because then they'll do like draw the missing half. So they're learning, you know, different art concepts. But here they're still learning, you know, the letters. And like I said, we're going to be going through this at our own pace. I'm not worried about staying on level with handwriting. We're just kind of going along and using it supplementally. But I thought this was cool. We've done a few of these where they're just trying to make it look like the truck with the grid to help them form it all. And then they'll have some scriptures in here too. So it is technically like faith-based, but you know, they keep it pretty neutral. I haven't had any issues with specific doctrine or anything that I've noticed. I haven't heard of anybody saying that there are specific doctrinal differences that they've come across in this. So if anybody has any, you know, ideas of videos where they're like, this is specifically against my church's doctrine on XYZ, then let me know. But I haven't seen anything like that. So I'm not really worried about the differences in, you know, specifics for religious purposes or whatever. But to each their own on that. I'm just kind of going with whatever works for me from each curriculum. So, so that's that. You know, just kind of learning cursive, and if we get done with this and we want to go on to level 5, and we're still having fun with it, then that's what we're gonna do. If he's got, you know, cursive down and he's happy with it and he's able to write whatever I ask him to write, and he knows cursive, you know, pretty well, then we'll go on to typing. So that's our plan for that. And I also purchased the handwriting in the PDF format. So I have the handwriting for all the handwriting grades for all 3 kids. And the typing course, you don't use it up. I mean, you can put stickers on it, but I can easily not put the stickers on it. So I'll be able to use the typing course for all 3 kids. And I have the math, language arts. So basically I'm done buying stuff if I continue on, unless I want to buy like the higher grades in math. I haven't purchased past 5th grade, so I could keep purchasing the higher grades in math and language arts, but as far as the ones I've already purchased, I won't have to purchase them again. So for my son, we have level 5, the lessons for math lessons for living education. And it's really similar, you know, like just the layout is the same. There's always a lesson in the beginning that I read to them, or he could read to me at this point, but there's always a lesson. It's very, there's just stuff in it about salvation. It's very, very Christian based, so if you're not into that, you could skip where they're reading, and then I don't think it would really matter, you know. But in the reading lessons, it's very Christian based. So there's a lot of copy work, as I said, for any concepts they're memorizing. They're doing copy work, and they're creating things. It's very realistic to life. There was something where we made a grocery list, and we calculated how much it would cost to make a dessert or a dinner. We chose to make peanut butter cookies, and so he wrote down his list, and we found the prices. I found the prices online rather than going to the store. But yeah, then there's the recipes. We did a recipe for granola where we were measuring with measuring cups the different measurements, because we were learning fractions. So it's just really fun and really practical, real life application. And yeah, so we're really liking it. So we'll see how it goes this year, and I'll talk about it later. But this past year has been great. It's been really nice. I liked Horizon Math for the younger grades, but this is just, I'm really enjoying it too. So that's what I'm doing for my first grader this year instead of Horizon, which is what I used for my oldest. So I've switched that, but a lot of it is just little switches, but we've kept a pretty consistent style, I think, through our homeschooling journey. I actually purchased this notebook. It is huge. You can see how big it is, from Walmart, and I feel like it was pretty pricey, but maybe they just are. This is a 3-inch, and it was like $10. It was almost $10. Is that normal? Is there somewhere else I can buy huge file folders that are cheap? I was really blessed with a lot of file folders when my mom gave me some homeschool stuff. She had a bunch of folders, nice white folders, but I wanted one that was big enough for basically all his curriculum to fit. And if you want a homeschool room tour, I can show you what my whole system looks like. I have a set of drawers from IKEA where I keep all our folders and anything on for a regular basis, and then I have a TV stand system where I keep all of our supplemental stuff. So for language this year for my son, we're going to be doing level 5 language lessons for living education. We did level 4 this past year, and it's just laid out really simply, similar to the math. My ink was giving me a problem with my printer, but if they have nice pictures or we're doing picture studies, I'll just pull it up on my phone real quick. It's not a big deal, but yeah, my printer was struggling. But anyway, so you got a little story in the beginning. There's a book that goes along with this, 108, I think, stories from the Bible. Okay, so we're talking about helping verbs here. The first few lessons are going to be reviewed from last year. But you can just see there's a lot of writing for him, which is nice. And there's a lot of review of the stories that we read in the 108 stories from the Bible. We talk about that. There are questions and everything. But anyway, I really am enjoying this easy open and go curriculum. It's so teacher friendly, mommy friendly, especially if you have multiple kids. Since there's a lot of copy work, it's not so much reading for the mom. There's a lot of copy work for the kids, and so if they're at the age of reading, it really gets a lot easier. So hang in there if you're teaching your kids to read, because that was a long journey for us, but I'm so thankful that we just kept going little by little every single day, and you will get there. And last but not least, our unit studies for this year, we are starting the loop again. So I am using Christian Cottage School's curriculum for unit studies. I think there are a couple other unit studies that are similar. I think there's Heart of Dakota and I'm not sure if it's called My Father's World or something like that, but it's basically unit studies that cover the science, the history, the culture, social studies, geography, all that kind of stuff. And so it just kind of is the catch-all for everything else besides the math and language arts. So this is what we're using, and what we do is we have several units in here, and it basically switches back and forth between focusing on a scientific concept or focusing on a historical time period. And I fully believe that history and science go hand in hand, and when you're learning about history, you're learning about the science that was taking place during that time, maybe that person's history or that group of people's history. And when you're learning about science, you're learning about the culture around that scientific invention. So I feel like it goes really well together. And so this series is broken up into 4 parts. This one is from creation to the Renaissance, and it is Christian based. So you're learning, all these scientific concepts, all these historical data, but you're also learning it from a Christian standpoint. So I want my kids to learn all the things that they need to learn, but I also enjoy having my faith as a part of that. And so in the beginning, like this one has the introduction, this one has roots and relations, light and matter, early civilization, Greece and Rome, weather, oceanography, Middle Ages, and bread of life. Okay, so it's going to have some parts that are or like religious based or whatever, but a lot of it is just like the scientific stuff, and I don't think that opposes one another. I believe it's awesome to learn about God's creation and everything that He made. It's just so exciting, so fun. So there are either 10 or 20 lessons for each unit, so you can either do it for like a month long or half a month, however you want to do that. And there's a scripture at the beginning of everything, introduction, and then it has a breakdown of like a primary activity, an elementary activity, an intermediate, and advanced activity. So you can use this for all of your kids at once and just expect different outcome or output depending on the age of your child and their ability. There's pages that you can print to have them color the cell. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody talk about this curriculum online. They don't have like a referral program or affiliates or anything like that as far as I know. I just shared the link because it's what I use. Just like really cool little experiments you can do. They'll have recipes in here from different cultures. They have book recommendations, coloring book recommendations, movie recommendations for each unit. Sometimes they'll have little skits and plays that you can do. Greece and Rome. So they have like a Roman soldier, but they're also talking about the armor of God. So it's, and then they'll talk about different inventions in Roman times and what the culture was like, all that kind of stuff. There's a glossary at the end of every unit of all the words. So oceanography, name and locate the 4 oceans, explain the difference between an island and a bay, name 3 parts of the outside of a fish's body, explain how to feed and care for a pet fish. So just go, that's primary. That's what's expected of a primary student, and then it goes on and on. Name and locate 4 oceans and 9 seas, diagram 16 ocean currents upon a map and identify if they're warm or cold, diagram the internal organs of a bony fish, explain how waves work, compare and contrast the biological classification of a perch, blue whale, and white shark. So that's like more advanced stuff. But yeah, like I said, science experiments, recommendations, all kinds of stuff. But I use it as a guide, and sometimes I am literally just reading out of it, and sometimes I'm using their reading list and going more based off of like a book, which I just love to do, get books from the library. But like I said, this is a 4-part series, and it covers all your students, and then you're just expecting different outcome or output from each of them. Some of your kids are going to do more of this scientific hands-on stuff. They're going to be more involved in that. Other of the kids are just going to watch. Some of them are going to write a really long essay. Some might write a paragraph. Some might write a sentence. Some might just, narrate what they learned. So that's how we do that, and we get everybody involved, and we're all learning and chatting and discussing, and there's just like a culture of learning in our home, which is what I want to cultivate here. And so we're all learning that together. Plus, once you've bought the 4 volumes, you're good to go for all of them. And you just go through it. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you start again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So each of your kids is going through it 3 times, and you don't have to like figure it out over and over again what you're going to do. So that's what I am planning to do this year. Each year I say I'm going to consider my options and see if there's something else I'd rather do. Once they are in like the high school age, they'll probably be doing things differently on their own, more maybe more content, whatever, you know, they'll be going into kind of the things that they want to do in their life, and I'll be supporting them in that. So once they get to high school, they might not be doing this with us, but I have 3 kids, and so being able to just use this curriculum, and as I get more and more familiar with it, I will become a better teacher and be able to find even better sources and supplements to make sure they have a well-rounded education. So I'm excited about this. This is our plan for this year. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear what you are planning to do for next year. If you have any questions about this curriculum or anything homeschooling related, let me know in the comments. And subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!